All right. Okay. So let's try this. I am DeVaris. That's me. If you want to get in contact with me, I'm at dbrown@zendesk.com or at DeVaris P. Brown on Twitter. So I want to give you guys a little glimpse into the future. So over the API, I answer a lot of you guys' tickets. I talk to you pretty much everybody on a day-to-day basis. A lot of the comments and feedback and things that you've asked for, tried to encompass it into this presentation on how we can make your experience with our developer platform better. So, number one is that we're going to redo the docs so that it is in a much nicer format. It's in a much more legible way. I think the docs that we have are amazing. We provide a ton of information, especially for those of you who have weathered the storm of V1 to V2. I think this will be an improvement to help you. I just want to kind of show you what we got in store for you real quick. So this is what it's going to look like, the homepage, once you get to our developer docs, all right? Going to have more of an informational slider. It's going to have all the blog content, so you don't necessarily have to navigate to the blog. All of you have already pretty much, I think, signed up for the developer newsletter. That's heads up for you. As you drill down into the documentation, you'll be able to, search for, I have some little autocomplete in the text box for all the endpoints. Stevie D actually built the tool. I don't know if you guys use this. It's the Zendesk API client. But literally just lifted the format from there. He does autocomplete, so you can actually copy and paste commands into this client that you can run API commands into. But you'll be able to autocomplete search for. You'll also be able to browse all of the endpoints, so no more of the sidebar that's there. So that'll be kind of fun. And one of the things I also realized is that we have a lot of information about what you can do inside of the documentation, but there's not much context around it, right? So one of the biggest things I get about feedback is, you tell me that I can get all the recent tickets, right? But you don't necessarily tell me actually, what these endpoints do. We just list them there, right? I don't know if you guys, you've seen this probably, like you just, I know you all the time. But we just list things and there's no context. So I wanted to make sure that once you go inside of an endpoint, we give you everything you need to know to be productive. And then once you drill down inside of it, you're able to see, all of the available fields, right? All of the available optional parameters, right? Some endpoints have parameters that don't work on other endpoints. And it's a very, very confusing process that I'm trying to do ticket deflection for myself, right? Which is, a lot of people asking, well, can I sort on tickets? I mean, I can sort on tickets, but why can't I do this on requests, right? And there's so many things that, honestly, I get confused as well. So this is actually more for me than it is for you, so I can help you guys out better, which is cool. The other part of that, too, is that we want to make the rate limiting more apparent, right? Generally, it's 200 requests per minute, but that's not, and we put that on the introduction page, but nobody ever pays attention to it, right? Which kind of is counterintuitive. So anytime that you go inside of an endpoint, you'll be able to see, who's authorized to use that endpoint, all right? So some of the endpoints that we have agent and admin restrictions, right? You'll be able to see what the rate limits are directly from there, all right? The response format is all JSON, but, just there to make it a list of 3 instead of 2, right? The other cool thing about this will be you'll be able to actually try out the commands inside of the endpoint itself. So, and you'll be able to put in your username and put in your authentication credentials, and then actually try out how can I interact with your API via .NET, which is something that I wish to deflect. So more than I do for any other language, I swear I get at least 10 tickets a week talking about how can I do random operations with .NET. So fixing the docs for you. The next thing we'll talk about is security, and as Morton alluded to, we're moving to OAuth 2, right? So basic auth is bad. We don't want clear your passwords in the clear. So, but we want to make this a lot easier for you guys to be able to interact with our API, and also you'll actually be able to see what this code would look like inside of various languages. Cores. So as Morton also alluded to, we're going to start allowing you to make cross-domain requests from the browser. And the reason why we're doing cores is because it's more expressive than JSON-P, right? Like you get more access to the request verbs. You're able to do things. And when you mash it up, you get OAuth plus cores. Possibilities are endless, right? So, you know, a lot of people want to they ask me all the time, hey, how can I just create this button that says create a ticket on my website? Well, you can't do that now, right? But eventually you will be able to get there, and that is coming late Q2 2013. API usage. So a lot of questions I get, especially from our larger customers, even our smaller ones, are DeVaris. You know, I keep hitting this rate limit. Can I get my account bumped up to, you know, less a minute or something like that, right? Which is no, I'm not going to do that. But they want me to actually provide visibility into, you know, I have to go to Hadoop and pull all their information, data from the logs, and I got to make a nice, you know, pivot table to show them that they're only averaging like 20 tickets a minute and all this other stuff. So I figured, hey, to prevent everybody from keep asking me the same question again, as you guys can see a theme is occurring here, we're going to eventually stuff this inside of your agent interface, all right? So you'll be able to see, you know, broken down by each of the endpoints, data, how many hits that you are having. Eventually, you'll be able to see, you know, how many, what your top API usage is per user. You'll be able to see what your last few rate limits were, day and time, so you won't, you know, you'll be able to see the endpoint. And so I don't have to do it. You'll be able to export all this data, which will be great. So, and that is coming, I don't know, whenever I feel like I get time to do it. And last but not least, Cookbook. So one of the things I realized that our documentation does very well is it shows you how to do things on a very granular level, but it doesn't necessarily tell a great story, right? So I've taken a bunch of things that people ask me on a day-to-day basis, and you know, possibly even pay our services team to do, to put it inside of a generic cookbook, right? Custom help forms and forms, right? Like, you know, one of our largest, I'll say one of our biggest customers, right? They're doing the same thing that you're doing, right? Which is they're constantly making the same requests, right? Like they don't necessarily know, they didn't implement caching, right? That's one of those things that, you know, is kind of common practice for web development. A lot of people just don't know how to do that stuff, right? So building these forms and you know, tying in custom data, well, data from other databases and putting those into custom fields to create a more richer customer service experience. Reporting with the incremental endpoint, right? Like people in this room are probably still using views to pull data from, you know, a day ago, or give me all the tickets that have changed within the past, like, you know, 5 minutes or something like that, all right? Well, we actually have an incremental endpoint that gives you 1,000 tickets per minute, and it only gives you the ones that have changed within that minute, right? So doing that as opposed to views, because views are very resource intensive for us to execute, it provides a better overall customer service experience. Creating and searching for users with multiple identities, right? Like people's, even though we have an expansive list of things you can do with our search, people still kind of trip up on how to do this stuff, right? Using Twilio, right? So building these like real-time customer service experience with triggers and targets. I actually wrote a blog post about that with the guys from Twilio, but this is something that people really want to do. And I can't think of everything, so it's going to be open source, so we need community input for you guys to do that. So, yeah, so stay tuned. Here's a bunch of all of our stuff. I know you guys will probably use it. Our developer site. All the API updates and all developer updates are at that forum. Just go to forum, look for API updates. Or follow us on Twitter, or you can email me at api@zendesk.com. Thank you. Any questions?
What's the transition?
For OAuth?
More specifically,
when are we going to
disable basic auth?
So we don't ever disable things, if you've noticed from the V1 to V2 transition. But we would strongly encourage you for a very long time to switch. And we'll make sure that it's a very easy transition. We're actually probably going to be working on the documents tomorrow and stuff like that, or over the next couple weeks. So it'll be a very, very easy transition for you. Man, easy crowd. It's beautiful. Thank you. So thank y'all for coming out. Enjoy yourselves and get home safely and all that stuff. I appreciate you for coming. And if you have any questions, you can ask any people that are sitting in the back. They all pretty much work for Zendesk. And yeah, we'll do our best to help you. All right.